Okay, it's March 19th, 2024, and I'm going to do a little video on the St. Patrick's Day flood 88 years ago in 1936. Right out there. Okay. So this is a partial view that I have from my living room of the west branch of the Susquehanna River. And what I'm going to mention first is the really worst flood of 1889, May 31st in Johnstown. 2,209 people perished in that flood. There's a museum down there. I've been to it twice, and it's really nice to see. You might want to check that out someday when you're out driving around Johnstown area. And also Agnes, which affected us not as bad as the 1936 flood, but Agnes affected a lot of territory in the Northeast. 1972, I believe 128 lives were lost during that flood. It was June 19th to the 24th. But what I'm going to talk about is the 1936, March 17th flood, which is sometimes called the St. Patrick's Day flood, specifically here in Clearfield. So I wanted to tell you, standing in my living room, the water in 1936, March 17th, would have been about waist high in my home. Thank goodness for the Clearfield Dam, built in 1966. That saved us from even worse damage in 1972. So I've had for a long time a book on the flood for 1972. It was done. And I wanted to read the Agnes flood, and I wanted to read just a small paragraph from here. When Clearfield Dam was dedicated in 1966, an Army Corps of Engineers said it was designed for protection from the kind of flood that comes every 100 years. They certainly were right, for the dam held back water that covered 3,000 acres of land, including a lake 14 miles upstream to Curry Run. Frank Marushak, dam tender for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, said water in the dam rose to within 14 feet of the spillway. The 79-foot depth, he said, was 52 feet over the dam's normal recreational level. 52 feet over the normal level for recreation. And that saved us. It would have been a worse disaster than the 1936 flood, obviously. So I would just like to read an article from the front page of this Progress edition, pictorial Progress edition of the flood. And it says, the Susquehanna River jumped its banks late in the afternoon of Tuesday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. A central section of city was inundated with 4 to 9 feet of water from late Tuesday night until Thursday morning. Hundreds of citizens marooned in public and semi-public buildings during high water. A.E., in parentheses, Eddie Lightsinger, was swept to death at eastern end of Market Street Bridge. His body found below Lock Haven the following Sunday. Estimated property damage of $1 million. Citizens rose nobly to rehabilitation efforts, and within a few days it was business as usual in home, office, store, and factory. Today the flood is indeed history. And I'm doing this because I think there are a lot of young people who may not know about this flood. And if you're listening to this and want to see markers in town showing how high the water was, there's one down at Fullington's, the bus company, and there's one down at the lower bridge at the jail. I believe, if I recall, it's down by the steps, the front steps there. So just wanted to make a memory thinking about it all at this time of the year. Bye. So I had a friend that left Clearfield in 1999, and one of the things that I gathered up before it got tossed away was this Progress edition of the Pictorial Flood Edition, which was done in April of 1936. I did not do anything with it for a couple years. And one day I got it out and started reading, and I got to this page, page 10, and I looked down, and lo and behold, there was a man that stood up on Coal Hill Road, and he took a picture of the lot down here, which had the home beside me in the garage, but it also shows the land that I bought many years later. And I was amazed.